Great. We will.
Thank
We'll
you.
be back to you. Thank you so much for coming. Stephanie Saxon?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I'm a Huntington resident. I've been here for many years, and I'm here to speak out against leaf blowers, in particular those powered by two-stroke gasoline engines. Particularly problematic is the direct health and environmental effects of their use, which I enumerate here. One is noise. The Town of Huntington noise ordinance prohibits leaf blower noise in excess of 70 decibels, but they're known to measure at least 70 to 75 decibels, and that's 50 feet away, so it's higher at closer range. The World Health Organization has found that noise levels over 75 decibels can cause hearing loss and are harmful. Even if by some miracle a leaf blower is less than 70 decibels, at a house surrounded by 6 to 8 other neighbors, for example, you can hear leaf blowers every day of the week if yards are done weekly. I work at home, so I know for a fact that leaf blowers, it's gone crazy. My neighborhood in Huntington, every house, there's something going on every single day of the week, even Sundays. 2, air pollution. The air pollutants emitted when using a gas-powered leaf blower for half an hour are the equivalent to those emitted from 440 miles of automobile travel at 30 miles an hour. Okay, 30 minutes of a leaf blower is the same as a car driving for 440 miles at 30 miles an hour. Here's another example, compared to an average large car, 1 hour of operation of a leaf blower emits 498 times as much hydrocarbons, 49 times as much particulate matter, and 26 times as much carbon monoxide. Particulate matter has been linked to asthma and contributes to smog and ozone levels. A 2011 test by the car experts at Edmunds showed that, and I quote, a consumer-grade leaf blower, which is the one commonly used around here, emits more pollutants than a 6,200-pound 2011 Ford F-150 SVT Raptor. I don't know what that is, but it's a big vehicle, and we're talking about little tiny leaf blowers. And we're not talking about the electric ones. Those are better because it has to do with the way the motors operate. The 4-stroke ones do better, but they're still far worse than the car engines. In summary, a grand jury convened on the subject of leaf blowers in San Luis Obispo County, California, concluded that, considering the evidence, the health hazards citizens are exposed to from two-cycle leaf blowers outweigh the possible benefits they provide. The grand jury went on to recommend a phase-out. Other areas have banned them. I ask, is it worth it to put our health at risk when there are other less hazardous alternatives? I would like to see a total ban on gas-powered leaf blowers in Huntington.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm working on it.
Cara Caporale?
I will, Marky.
I still haven't seen education.
Good afternoon, Supervisor Petrone and members of the Town Board. My name is Cara Caporelli, and I'm an attorney with Long to Manello. We represent Huntington Orange and White, which is a taxi company that has been successfully operating in the town of Huntington for over 40 years. On a personal note, I grew up and went to high school in Huntington. I just wanted to take this opportunity to speak briefly on the issues of Uber drivers that have been coming into the town of Huntington more and more. Drivers from my client, again, that's Huntington Orange and White, have seen unlicensed Uber drivers operating the town of Huntington every night, particularly Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, when the town is particularly busy. We have provided documentation to the town attorney's office that these are not just drop-offs, but that the Uber drivers are operating on a point-to-point basis within the town. As the town board is certainly aware, my client and his drivers are required to maintain an office within the town. We're also required to obtain annual licenses at great cost and expense. Allowing unlicensed and unvetted Uber drivers to operate in the town not only disrupts our local economy, but poses a safety threat. The town of East Hampton has gone as far as to ban Uber drivers from operating within the town. We are simply requesting that the current town code be enforced as rigorously against the Uber drivers as it is against licensed taxi companies operating within the town. Again, these are local businesses that contribute to our local economy, and we are suffering tremendous loss due to the influx of these Uber cars. By way of example, none of the Uber cars that were sent to the town of Huntington's office were registered to addresses in the town of Huntington. So we just simply ask that the town board enforce the code as it exists as rigorously against these cars to protect our local businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Rockline?
Good afternoon again, Robert Rockline of Various Civics and a homeowner. Time for the thank yous. A big thank you to Lene, who works in the traffic transportation safety desk right off the hallway here. She got a light fixed in 48 hours that the app, the Huntington At Your Service app, I tried a couple times, and for whatever reason, although it's worked for me in the past, she got the job done. So people over technology sometimes is more important, but she deserves a thank you. She's done well in the past with other requests I've had. On behalf of the Green Lawn Civic Association, Councilwoman Berlin, Councilman Cook, and Councilman Cuthbertson had staff attend the last meeting where the BAE property use was discussed. Simone had representatives there. Mount Sinai had representatives there. It was a very large team of design and traffic professionals to discuss the future use there by Mount Sinai for medical use. So it seems very appropriate. I looked at the site plan. There's minimal change, if any, and everything's going to take place inside the existing building. It seems like a very good project going forward and much needed, and should help give a little boost to the downtown Green Lawn business area by lunch people and shopping and cleaners and stuff. So big thank you to the three councilpersons who were represented there. There was also a big powwow with Jim McGoldrick, who's on vacation today, and otherwise he'd be up here thanking you, I'm sure. But Councilwoman Edwards' aides, Joan Sergel, Dee Thompson, Dean Leonardi from the engineering department, all got together to discuss the Suffolk County downtown revitalization grants, specifically for sidewalks for Depot Road. So Councilman Cook and Engineer Leonardi and myself and a few other people went out on Depot up and down one day and identified the areas that don't have a connection for people to walk safely on the north and south venue that it is. So big thank you to them, and we get little bites and pieces chewed off here and there. Before you know it, we'll have a continuous path up and down, and hopefully that'll tie into Huntington Station revitalization. So thank you again.
Thanks, Bob.
Mr. Rockline, I think we're all interested to hear about BAE and Green Lawn and that potential use. The concern that we need to iron out on that is, for a long time at their current site, they weren't paying taxes, and as you know, there are not a lot of commercial ratables in the Harborfield School District in the Green Lawn area. So one of the things we're going to take a close look at going forward is whether that use would pay a full tax like BAE is paying, because it's important to the ratables in the school district.
Right, and that was brought up by some residents at the meeting, so thank you for addressing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Carl Olabu?
Hello, Supervisor Patron and Town Board. Thanks for your time. My name is Carl Wu at 250 Lawrence Hill Road. I own a leaf blower, but I want to echo what the woman behind me said and say that I really strongly encourage the Town Board to move forward with an ordinance that would restrict the use of leaf blowers. Our communities in the summertime used to be known for fresh air and the sounds of birds and frogs and playing kids, and now it sounds like there's a leaf blower in my head, a hair dryer in my head all the time, and it smells like LaGuardia Airport. So I actually had to ask permission to come here, take some time off work to speak to you, and everyone I mentioned it to at work said, I hate leaf blowers. And so I think it would be very welcomed if you come forward with an ordinance, and you get a lot of support. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Eric Priest. Hi, Eric.
It's an honor to be here. Good afternoon, Supervisor Patron and Town Board members. Today, I actually had a doctor's appointment. Usually I work on Tuesdays like everyone else. It's hard to make these meetings. My first point is, I have like 3 points, but I want to say this politely. Is there a way to schedule these board meetings at night? I know they're on Tuesdays twice a month. It would help if I think more people could speak if the meetings are at night. You know?
We alternate, Eric.
Okay, but it would be better if they're all at night. That's just my opinion. sure many people agree, but it's up to you guys. I'm not pointing fingers. I just want to ask some questions. I want to be very careful not to offend anyone. I run a nonprofit myself. Mike Katakis is our director. We're open to public records. We barely get by. I'm on the autism spectrum. I'm actually the chaplain of the Sons of the American Legion of Halesite. I'm proud of that title. I have severe kidney disease and autism, which kept me out of the U.S. Navy. I serve in memory of my grandfather. I want to get to the point. Now, one of the things we do as a charity is we do a lot of work with the Northport VA, Beacon House, South Huntington schools, where our kids are getting shot, our kids are on drugs. There's a big need. We volunteer a lot more hours. We volunteer everything. I give every cent I have, every little bit of money I have to my own charity to help these kids and veterans. And I lost my best friend in the Pentagon, 9/11. Now, and he was the only New York City resident killed. What I'm talking about here, and we're in the old library up on Depot Road, for any of you who know, and I'm very thankful to the school district for allowing us to be there, and my director, Mike Katakis, who runs New Media, and all the veterans we serve. Now, what I'm going to talk about, I'm going to make really quick. I passed by something in South Huntington, and it bothered me a little bit. I would like to speak uninterrupted, please, and I'll be very calm and to the point. This is called the Business Incubator of South Huntington. The first thing I noticed is why this is the Enrichment Center. For those of you that don't know, I've been involved with the Weed and Seed program for the last 15 years. I've gone to these public meetings. The Enrichment Center is a program where Dee Thompson runs. She's a great lady, runs a great program. However, there's a conflict of interest because Tracy Edwards is her daughter, and she's on the town board. And they put up this sign, the Town Huntington Business Incubator, on a building where Dee Thompson works out a charity out of called the Huntington Enrichment Center. Could that be a conflict of interest? That's my first question. My second question is, how much do these signs, light fixtures, and electric cost the taxpayer? In every park, we have a sign. People come out of office, they have to change these signs. I'm in the art business. My director upstairs is in the graphics business. I could tell you right now, these signs cost $2,500 to $5,000. That's a lot of taxpayer waste. The second thing is I drive on Depot Road at night where they're getting kids are shot, the Rosales girl. There's been a number of things that have happened on Depot Road. The lack of street lamps existing are dimmer than flashlights given for free at Harbor Freight Tools.
Eric, your time is up.
Thank you.
Now what I want to do, Eric, I want to clear up some of those concerns and questions, and as I mentioned to you earlier, we'll give you a call. And I'd like to have you come in and we'll go over all of those details with you.
Okay, but can I ask one more question?
Very quick.
Just one, it was interesting. The town fund, they awarded Dee Thompson a money award, a huge amount of money. But her mother, Tracy Edwards, sits on the town board. Is that a conflict of interest or what? That money could be used for a lot of kids and veterans who really need the money. Thank you.
You know what, Eric, you should be really careful when you throw around the words conflict of interest. Tracy's mother has been involved with the Enrichment Center long before Tracy was ever on the town. You had a chance to speak. I'm responding to what you said. Her mother was affiliated with the Enrichment Center.
She's done a lot.
Long before she was ever on the town board.
I've been to her meetings for the last 15 years, Mark.
You know what?
And I've seen everybody here.
Eric, you actually don't want to hear what I have to say.
We need change, Mark. We need big change in this town.
All right.
People have been in office too long.
Eric, we will clear that up for you.
Mr. Supervisor, can I
You
speak?
can go on the record.
On the record. So, my mother lives with me, so if I don't speak on her behalf, she's not going to let me in my own house. So just a couple of things, because I do know much more about this than most, and thank you very much, Councilman Cuthbertson. My mother started this organization probably in about year 2000. The town purchased the building, I think it was around 2007, 2008. And part of the agreement with the purchase of the town was that my mother's organization would be allowed to remain there with a lease. And you're right, I was elected in 2014, so I clearly had nothing to do with that. And just the last thing is, my mother's unpaid, and I will tell you that she has used much of her monthly pension to support a lot of the children in Huntington Station so that they would have after-school programs and the like, and many other programs that is there. So all of that is a part of public record. I am sure anyone can and will, and you can absolutely go to that building and see all the wonderful things that happen there, and you will probably find my mother in one of those offices. So thank you very much.
And just to continue, there is no conflict with that. I think that's been explained. But at the same hand, the purchase agreement of that building included the enrichment center and that type of programming to be part of it. That was a condition, actually, of it being purchased, and of the seller providing us an opportunity to have that building. And the seller is here with us. So I would say that it's all been done correctly. In fact, there is rent or in lieu of rent dollars that have been associated with the enrichment center as they've been in that property. So there has never been any organization that has not paid their share there. And whether it's in the form of dollars or it's in the form of services, which is permissible and has been permissible in New York State, and we do that with many of our facilities, that's been the same. And to echo Mark, Tracy Edwards, even when she wasn't on the town board, was not even involved in this program, nor did she have an opinion.
I hope I can go home tonight, I got to tell you.
She's
going to have a...
You will. Thank you.
You should have never let her move in.
Peter Calandra.
Cal Candy. Yeah.
Oh, what am I doing?
Do that every time.
I'm bad today, Peter. You know, I know a Peter Calandra. And I knew this was you, and you weren't Peter Calandra. Good.
Peter Candy.
Please speak in the microphone. Phil. Hi, my name is Peter Calcandy, and I've lived in Hale Site for almost 30 years. During the past few months, you have heard from Huntington residents about their concerns regarding two-cycle gasoline leaf blowers and their use by commercial landscaping during the summer months. I'm not here to talk about the problems they cause, but to offer some solutions. Rakes and brooms have their place, of course, but in some instances are not practical to the commercial landscaper who must do many lawns a day in order to make a profit. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. I made that up. I lost my place. I have to start all over. My name is Peter. No. Modern battery-powered leaf blowers are available today and can easily do the job of clearing debris out of flower beds, driveways, and sidewalks without the obnoxious noise or hazardous emissions old-fashioned gas leaf blowers produce. Power tool manufacturers have been moving away from two-cycle engines and are now utilizing either four-cycle gas engines or batteries to power the equipment. Lawn mowers, snow blowers are no longer available with two-cycle engines because of the environmental issues that they cause. Battery-powered lawn and garden equipment are now replacing two-cycle engines, including hedge trimmers, pole trimmers, chainsaws, string trimmers, because they're more efficient and don't pollute the air we breathe, are much quieter than gasoline engines, lighter in weight, and cost much less to operate. This is a win-win-win situation for everyone concerned. The homeowner gets their manicured lawns, their neighbors get to enjoy the peace and quiet of the outdoors, plus clean air once again, and the landscapers are able to do the job at a lower cost, putting money in their pocket. We at Huntington Com ask you now to move forward without delay and seriously consider legislation to restrict the use of gas leaf blowers by contractors during the summer months quickly, so may we enjoy the outdoors this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, I think I have a few extra moments, so I could either play a medley of leaf blower noise or I could sing a song. Which would you prefer? Probably the leaf blower noise. Thank you.
Thank you. Bonnie Sager.
Mina's going to take my place. We're going to switch because she's from Cornell and has to get going.
Okay. Is there a card for?
Yes, there is.
Okay. Mina Becerra?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got it.
Good afternoon. My name is Mina Becerra. I work for Cornell Cooperative Extension of Suffolk County, and I serve Suffolk County by providing educational programming for the professional landscapers that work probably in Huntington. And while you're considering the ban on these gas-powered leaf blowers, I would also like you to consider having the town of Huntington lead as an example and maybe adopt some of this alternative technology landscape equipment, the other battery-powered landscape equipment, not only the blowers, but also the mowers that also do not release the VOCs and the noise pollution that these gas-powered lawnmowers and whatnot also do. This way, I can provide educational programming for the landscapers so they can slowly become introduced to this equipment. I have been able to provide some type of educational programming, but the problem is this equipment just doesn't exist in some of the distributing equipment places on Long Island. It's very hard to actually test it. And if the town of Huntington were to maintain their parks this way, well, then you could also provide an example to the residents of Huntington that their properties can look just as beautiful if maintained with this alternative equipment. So thank you very much.
You should know I'm working on establishing Heckscher Park as a green zone. And I'm
Yes,
working
and
with
that's
our
what I
Director
heard.
of General Services.
Which
so
I think is wonderfully promising. Thank you.
working on it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bonnie Sager, were you going to speak?
A restriction of gas leaf blowers is an important issue that should not be trivialized. It is about leaf blowers, but also about human beings and leadership. We have a problem, a real problem in our neighborhoods that precludes some residents from their ability to work from home, as you have heard at previous council meetings. Others are afraid of health reasons. They themselves have medical conditions or have children with asthma, allergies, or other respiratory ailments. These are real issues, not trivial issues, not fake issues, not issues that should be disregarded. We are a group of residents that have come before you with our concerns. We have come together to tell you we are troubled by the environmental, health, and quality of life impacts gas leaf blowers have on us. We look to you to find solutions and compromise. We have been told this is an educational issue, and we have done our part. There is a difference between leadership and obstructionism and dismissing the concern of citizens. We now ask Council to step up to the plate, enforce the town noise ordinance, and speak to your residents' concerns. Over the past several months, you have heard from residents, medical professionals, and today we have Cornell Cooperative Extension, who presented her views. We have shown that price increases are not a factor. Enforcement is easily implemented. Gas leaf blowers are easy to see and certainly can be heard. Phone photos can verify offenses with addresses noted. No code is enforceable all the time, but putting it on the books will have the majority of folks comply. Smoking at the beaches, not texting while driving, etc., are more difficult to enforce, yet regulations on these items have been passed. In the spirit of compromise, we have no objections to lithium battery blowers being used, and we also suggest a trial restriction of gas leaf blowers be put in place immediately. Great Neck Estate did this with wonderful success. And I quote, and this is from Great Neck Estates, "We asked for a 3-month trial ban after which the community could decide on a permanent change to code. As the peaceful, quiet summer stretched out, something happened. People began to notice that it was more enjoyable to be outside, whether walking the dog, sitting in the backyard, entertaining, barbecuing, letting kids play outdoors. The streets didn't look any messier or less pristine than before, and no one got higher gardening bills. At summer's end, we created a survey to evaluate residents' opinions. Resident opposition seemed to evaporate, and a permanent leaf blower restriction was voted into effect." End quote. Huntington Com sincerely hopes that we can come to a compromise and deal with the situation as soon as possible. It's time to regain the peaceful use and enjoyment of our homes, which, after all, is a tenet of law. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm going to reiterate, Bonnie, because I've mentioned this several times, and I'm just going to reiterate again because you seem to want to keep coming back, but I still don't see a proposal for an educational program that is going to educate the community about why this would be beneficial, how it's going to affect them economically, but how it's going to affect them environmentally as well. I've asked for it. We've asked for it.
Filmed it.
You filmed it, but...
Right, I'm waiting for Ethan
Sue,
to edit it,
Sue,
and then you'll see it.
Phil,
You were
Sue,
invited, but you didn't come,
Sue,
so you didn't see it.
filming something and doing something like that is one thing. Creating a total educational program, and many of you are educators, you don't go in with just a film. You go in there with the program, we sit down, we develop a process, and it's a community by community type of thing. We did this very successfully when we banned grass clippings. And that's how we did it. After the public became so aware of it, they started to accept it. The first thing we will have if we enact something without that type of approach is we're going to have people for it, and we're going to have tons of people against it, and we're going to have chaos. And why have chaos? You come here and you give us information. Why not put a good program together that can go out to the communities? That's all we're saying.
Will you work with us to put out that program?
Sure.
Well,
Sure.
we can make an appointment and come to your office.
Sure
and
you
start a
can.
program. And the other thing I'd like to add, though, in Westchester, 16 towns have done this for years, and there was no chaos, there was no problem. Many communities throughout the country have banned. We're only asking for a restriction of just gas leaf blowers.
All I'm saying is we like to go to our public and give them information. And do it correctly, do it comprehensively. And yes, you can. You can come in. The film is one idea. That's PR as far as I'm concerned.
No, it's not.
But,
You haven't
but
even
in
seen
terms
it.
of,
How can you
but in
comment on
terms
something you
of,
haven't seen
excuse me.
Yes,
Okay?
you haven't seen it.
I'm sorry you're not getting your way
Comment on it.
again, but just please,
You know,
let me
Mr.
speak.
Supervisor,
Thank you.
inappropriate attacks are really unnecessary.
Would you?
I've had it.
I have been speaking, and I am speaking.
You can't comment on a video you
Sue,
haven't seen.
Sue,
and then you resort to
Sue,
really inappropriate
You are
low-level
interrupting.
attacks.
You're interjecting
Absolutely.
inappropriately.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I'm commenting
Yes,
on what
you are.
you're saying, which is inappropriate.
Yes, you are. And that's
Again,
why you don't get support for things.
No, Frank.
Because you shove it down people's throats.
You know, these are
Bonnie,
the same games you
certainly
always play.
will make an appointment. You're welcome to come in, and I'll even ask one of my other board members who haven't been involved to join me.
I appreciate that greatly,
Thank
and you
you.
will be hearing from us. And the other thing is, we have proposed a green zone park of Heckscher. I know Adrienne Esposito has written to Councilman Cuthbertson several times. I don't believe you've responded back to her yet. You have? Well, thank you. Because that would serve as a very good educational tool and a model for the community. They're considering
Yes, I have the town attorney's office is working on a draft resolution to create a green zone in Heckscher Park.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
And hopefully my
basically,
colleagues will support that.
Your colleagues will first
One
look
can
to
only
see what a
see.
program is looking like and to see what the educational components are. That's how we do business. There's a process, it's called.
There's a different
And some of
standard
us are
depending on
part
the
of
person who brings
process,
it up.
and others don't want process.
No, there's a
Thank you,
different
Bonnie.
procedure
Thank you.
depending
We'll-
on the council
we'll call
person
you.
that supports something.
William Walter? And you can see if we don't come to a conclusion and we don't do this correctly, this isn't going nowhere because it has to be done right and not with intimidation. Thank you, Dr.
Yes, so you
Walter.
should stop intimidating, Mr. Supervisor.
Supervisor Patron and members of the council, I'm here this afternoon as the president of the Walt Whitman Birthplace Association. And as you know, the Birthplace Association each year now since the 1980s appoints a poet in residence at the time, May 31st, of Walt's birth. I have the honor this year of notifying you that Robert Pinsky is going to be our poet in residence this year. He has an unusual credential as a national poet laureate for more than 1 year. For 2 years, he served as our national poet laureate. The reason that he had the second-year appointment is because he started a project, My Favorite Poem. And what we would like to do this year with his help is to run that program here in Huntington in the month of April, which is Poetry Month. In particular, Sunday afternoon on April 17th will be the final session of it. But what we're doing is inviting everyone, each of you and the council, all of audience members to submit your favorite poem. The poem cannot be one that you've written yourself. It has to be a poem that speaks to you, that means something to you, and that you let us know why it means something to you. This way we can spread the importance of poetry through the entire community. We're doing this as a multicultural program, and we'd like to have entries from all parts of our program. And so I invite each of you, as you consider, to submit a poem that speaks to you and notify us why it's important to you, the title, the author, and we will select from that poems to be read on the afternoon of April 17th. I encourage the board and members of the audience. I have flyers here and would be pleased to hand them out to anyone who has an interest, whether it was a poem that was read to you by your mother that influenced your life, whether it was a poem that you learned from a teacher, whether it was a poem that you heard somewhere else that spoke to you. We'd like to know why it spoke to you and what that poem was. Thank you.
Thank you. Kimberly Williams.
I can put those in my office as well.
Hello, I'm Kimberly Williams, and I live at 250 Lawrence Hill Road in Cold Spring Harbor. And I also am here to support Huntington Calm, so please don't yell at me.
No, we're not yelling at you.
I support the group hoping to
We're not
limit the
yelling
use
at
of
you.
gas-powered leaf blowers.
I just have to calm
and I
her
hope
down
that
sometimes.
No, you have to calm yourself down.
I support the group hoping to limit the use of gas-powered leaf blowers, and I hope we can get on the agenda at some point so this important issue can be voted on as soon as possible, because I like to breathe here too. Thank you.
Don't speak to him.
Thank you. Susanna Ehrlich.
Good afternoon to all. My name is Susanna Ehrlich. I live at 97 Laurel Avenue, Northport. When we moved into that house 25 years ago, we had been attracted by the quality of life. We looked at many villages along the North Shore, and we settled on Northport, the village of Northport. For the first several years, when friends and the family out of state visited us as house guests, we always got positive comments on how great the quality of the air is in our neck of the woods. People came to breathe the fresh air. And then things started changing more and more around us, gas-powered leaf blowers, gas-powered equipment for lawn maintenance. All these things started proliferating. The quality of life, that fresh air and the peace and quiet disappeared. Now, right now, when I work during the day from home in the summer, and I like to keep my windows open, I don't get that privilege anymore. I must close them. It is so noisy. I also would like to point out that we are completely organic as far as the maintenance of the lawn, grass, and the trees on the property. But not everyone around is that way. And so when the leaf blowers do their work, not only they raise into the air numerous soil particles, but also all the components of these artificial synthetic substances that are these days used in lawn maintenance, and especially so by commercial lawn maintenance organizations. That's, it's pesticides, it's herbicides, it's various kinds of synthetic fertilizers. All that we have to breathe in, even though we ourselves don't use any of that stuff. So I really encourage the board to put this question up front, assign a high priority to it, and please be cooperative. Thank you.
Thank you. Candace Calcandy.
Hello, Board. My name is Candy Calcandy. I live in Halesite. And I just wanted to let you know that today I heard birds singing in my yard. But that's not going to last long, because not within 10 minutes later, an unmarked truck pulled up across the street, pulled out their noise blowers, their gas blowers, and they said to me, well, I can't hear you. I said, well, I can't hear you either. So it's only March 8th. There's no leaves on the trees. It's called a leaf blower, okay? I think we've gotten all the education that we're going to get on this issue, and you've been supplied with it. Suffolk County is concerned about banning plastic bags due to environmental issues. So where does this leave Huntington on making an environmental decision on the use of leaf blowers in the summer being restricted? It's time to step up and make the correct decision for the environment and the lives of the people of Huntington. Thank you.
Jim Paymar?
Good afternoon, Mr. Supervisor and members of the board. My name's Jim Paymar. I have to admit I am a carpetbagger. I come from Nassau County, and I have been fighting the same battle as the people that you've been hearing from, Bonnie Sager in particular, in Nassau County with the county legislator, with my town. I'm the anchor and executive producer of the Long Island Business Report, and I run a company called Paymar Communications Group, which trains executives all around the world, and I'm a professor at Malloy College. But I'm here as a private citizen today because I am totally in support of banning the gas-powered leaf blowers. They are such a bane to my existence and most other residents in my community of Rockville Center. It is endless noise, ceaseless, mind-numbing noise from 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning until 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. We pay a lot of taxes to live in Rockville Center. I'm sure everyone here who lives in Huntington pays a lot of taxes to live here. We deserve to have a certain quality of life, which has been taken away by these gas-powered leaf blowers. I don't want to go into like a tremendous amount of elaboration about the health impacts, but they are significant. When landscapers blow our yards, they push dust, fecal matter, pesticides, fungi, chemicals, fertilizers, spores, and street dirt, which consists of lead, organic, and elemental carbon into the very air that we and our children breathe. Now, for young kids and the more elderly among us, I guess I'm one of those, kind of. It's something that we've got to fight against. And the reason I came here today is because I think you guys are getting close. You can be a beacon of light for Long Island if you pass meaningful legislation to put a ban to gas-powered leaf blowers, at least in the summer season, and constrict their hours of operation and ticket them when they blow debris and pollutants into the streets that then gets blown back across someone else's yard, and on and on and on. It really is a negative factor. I work with Bose headsets on because I do a lot of Skype training with corporate executives. I take a lot of conference calls at my home. I can't work. I can't think. Sometimes I have to flee my own home. I get on my mountain bike, although there's no mountains. I used to live in California, so I'm used to riding on a mountain bike. And it's just...
Thank you, sir.
It's got to end. And be a beacon of hope. Be a leader.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes our public portion. We'll go directly into our agenda. I offer resolution